Vice President urges judiciary and security agencies to ensure the new criminal case tracking system works.
Energy Ministry lifts ban on new operating license for LPG operators.
In business tonight, staff of Bank of Ghana whose negligence led to the collapse of UT and Capital banks to face sanctions.
And on the international front, U.S. President Donald Trump says historic summit with North Korea's Kim Jong-un next month may not happen.
All these and more, including sports as well as entertainment, coming up in the next 60 minutes.
Bring you all these and more tonight. And remember, we're live on DSTV channel 279. To our first story this evening, President Akufo-Addo has reported the Ghana Football Association President Kwesi Nyantakyi to the Criminal Investigations Department for alleged influence peddling. At the news conference at the Presidency, Deputy Chief of Staff Abu Jinapo said the GFA boss is also to be probed for allegedly defrauding by false pretense.
The GFA boss, who is currently on official FIFA duties in Madagascar, is alleged to have told potential investors that he is capable of paying the president and his vice various sums of money to influence them to take decisions in their favor should they decide to invest in Ghana. The Deputy Chief of Staff, Abu Jinapo, confirmed the president is outraged, having watched the latest but yet to be publicized viewed investigative piece by ACE investigative journalist Anas Arimiyao Anas titled Number 12.
The president, as a responsible citizen, and indeed and in fact and more particularly as a chief custodian of our laws and enforcer of our laws, has had to consult and evaluate the content of this investigative piece. The president, after these consultations, is fully satisfied that a prima facie basis has been established for criminal investigations to be launched into the conduct of the president of the Ghana Football Association, Mr. Kwesi Nyantakyi, and any other accomplices that may exist.
The documentary is scheduled to be premiered at the conference center in Accra on June 6.
To see a bit further on this particular story, developing, let me say, international journalist and group head of sports here at Media Journal, Michael Otieje, is joining me in studio. Thank you so much for your time this evening, Mr. Otieje. Great. We're going to go into your tweet, which you described this as decisive and shocking. Why do you describe this as shocking, some would say?
Well, I think because in the past there's always been suggestions that there are issues of corruption. I think we could pull out 1,000,001 sound bites of Mr. Nyantakyi saying that anybody who says the Football Association is corrupt or that he is corrupt or that he embezzles money must show the evidence. Now, we don't know whether there is conclusive evidence. From what we heard from Mr. Abu Jinapo, this is clearly a situation where the president has seen something he considers illegal and has done what he's supposed to do by reporting it to the right authorities. I say it's shocking and decisive because this could have been dragged for a while now, but then he goes straight to the point, makes a decision on it. It's also shocking because there's been an attitude of hedging on some of these things over a consistent period. So that's what I find strange, because I really didn't expect. I was only tweeting yesterday about how the build-up to the video telecast is biting away at people, because I follow a lot of football people and I know it was causing a lot of trouble, but I didn't know that.
Yeah, you call them the football people. They were daring Anas, telling him that if he has anything, he should put it out there. With some of them actually flying out of the country and all. Then you have this particular one. Would you say that, just give a bit of a background to this particular story up until now, where we are at this moment?
So essentially what's happened was that because off the back of a lot of the things about corruption in football, bribery of referees, which people like Kwabena Yeboah and the rest have spoken about on a quite consistent basis, suggestions that players have to pay monies before they sometimes play for the national team, that football officials at the highest level use their influence to double in other things they're not supposed to. So Anas launched his own investigations. Now for the last 2 or so weeks, he's been dropping hints through other sports journalists like Sadiq Adams and the rest that he collaborates officials with and suggesting to them that this could cause. I know people who have seen the video who have said to me that regardless of how much I feel there are major issues with the running of Ghana football, that video will shock you.
And clearly, what we're hearing and seeing right now fits the description of what's shocking.
Exactly. So as Anas built up to it, as a courtesy, he let the president see it, and there were instances of references to him. You heard Mr. Jinapor suggest that Yantichi effectively had used his name and the rest, and decided that they must act. So this is off the back of a lot of the things that's been said about football. Mr. Yantichi himself, sometime a year or two ago, said that he will be more than happy for Anas to investigate Ghana football, and now
so his wishes have been granted, literally, by Anas doing this, and that's probably going to cost him his job. Is it too early to state? I mean, clearly he will not go down without a fight, I mean, for the lack of better expression, but how does this bother on football administration with the FIFA regulations? Because I do know that governments in home countries are not supposed to interfere, quote unquote, in the administration of football.
Well, I think first of all, you are right, he will fight this. Mr. Yantichi has maneuvered a lot of ways. Remember, before the last World Cup, there was an attempt by the Telegraph newspaper to pull something similar on him in relation to bribing referees before a Ghana game and fixing the game. He went through that. But I think this is a different case from interference in football. I've always said that the FIFA law on interference in football has to do directly with the running of the game. Now, remember what the president has reported this to is influence peddling, is fraud by what he reckons is defrauding by false pretense. He's effectively saying that Mr. Yantichi has used his name for illegal activity. Now, that's not exactly football. That's a criminal offense. There have been several instances. You look at FIFA itself. The FIFA hierarchy was brought down heavily before the last election because the FBI undertook a similar Anas project. You know, sting operations in meetings, finding out who was wiring money through which way, setting up agents on high-ranking football officials, including an American Chuck Blazer, and getting them to take bribes and the rest before they were taken down. So it is not purely a football case. Issues of bribery, corruption, and the rest may happen within the sphere of football, but there are issues that goes beyond the pitch of a football pitch. So FIFA will not come into this and say, Mr. President, you are interfering with the running of football. The president has not said Yantichi should step down as GFA president. Neither has he taken any decision that borders directly on the running of football.
Clearly, we're going to come into how this affects football administration. Let me go on to Skype now, Mr. Cheje, if you permit me. Adam Senano is the co-chair of the Citizens Movement Against Corruption. Mr. Senano, thank you for your time. Good evening to you. Now, someone described this as shocking and decisive. Let me find out your thoughts about this. I mean, now there's proof to the allegations of corruption in football administration. Your thoughts? Hello, sir. Okay, we're having some technical hitches with Adam Senano, who's the co-chair of the Citizens Movement Against Corruption there. Now, Mr. J, how does this affect the administration of football here in Ghana, especially when we do know the influence Kwesi Nyantakyi wields, and already he gave a hint that he was not going to contest in the upcoming election. His vice president resigns, and then now we'll have to... Let me go back to Adam Senano, see if the technology will favor us now. Senano, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you, Alfred.
Fantastic. Now, so now there's proof to the allegation that has dotted the administration of football. Let me find out your thoughts about the decision the president is taking now to report Kwesi Nyantakyi to the CID.
I think it's a good decision. I mean, we've always needed very robust responses to such scenarios. I must say it's a sad day for me, I'm sure for many of us as Ghanaians, because as you know, Kwesi Nyantakyi is an international guy, and he represents Ghana on a global platform where these kind of things do not help all of us. So it is a sad day. I think the president has taken the right action to immediately ask for an investigation. But if the facts, we've not yet been exposed to Anas's latest expose, but if the facts are true, then this is really saddening for Ghana and for all of us.
I want to find out to what extent this is going to be sad, especially when they're supposed to sanitize, you know, the system and expose the wrongdoing in an administration. So how sad will this be? I mean, I want to understand your sadness really about this.
I mean, it's shocking to have a situation where we are being told that the names of the first man of the land, his deputy, other ministers were all being used, as it were, to coerce people, compel them to pay millions of dollars. I mean, if these facts are true, then this is not just criminal. I mean, it's a total embarrassment to all of us as Ghanaians, given who he was dealing with. I think that it's sad because of how far we seem to have gone down in terms of the levels of corruption we are finding and the heights at which we are finding it.
Going forward, I mean, this is just a part of the video that has led to this decision. But what do you expect after everything is said and done, and now that there's a prima facie case established against him? I think we have some connectivity problems with NMC.
I think that there should be a complete follow-through.
Right.
I think that we should have a complete follow-through with the legal actions regarding anyone who is found culpable. I think that is very crucial. Nobody should be spared in making sure that if people have, as it were, used false pretenses to defraud others, that they are held accountable so that we can begin to set the right precedents.
Mr. Arnold, thank you so much for your time this evening. I'm indeed very grateful for your time. Adam Sano, the co-chair of the Citizens Movement Against Corruption. Michael Ochije is in the studio. I was asking about how this affects the administration of football in the country. Maybe finally.
Well, it will have its own effect. It effectively means that Nyantechi will not be able to perform at the capacity that you would expect him to. Remember, government still, the Football Association still has to do a lot of collaboration with government, so naturally there will be a great deal of friction. And I suspect that given the way this has gone, it could potentially trigger a major change in the direction of Ghana football. I think this Nyantechi one is just a tip of the iceberg. There are issues of bribery of officials that influence games, issues about Nyantechi himself beyond that, issues of involving some executive committee members. It will be, I suspect, quite a tsunami.
Thank you so much, sir, for your time this evening. Michael Ochije is international journalist, group head of sports here at Media General, joining us to do some analysis on this. This is the developing story. Stay with us here on TV3. We'll continue our focus on this subsequently, also on Sports Unlimited later on in the day as well. But the Energy Ministry has lifted the ban on new operating licenses for LPG operators. This was after an emergency meeting between the Energy Ministry and the gas operators intended to force the operators to call off their two-day strike. Meanwhile, the vice chair of the LPG Marketers Association, Gabriel Kumi, is optimistic they will call off the strike by Wednesday.
The meeting lasted for more than 5 hours, with the Deputy Minister of Energy, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, demanding that they call off the strike. Vice Chair of the LPG Marketers Association, Gabriel Kumi, is optimistic they will call off the strike by Wednesday.
Once the Minister has made some concessions and has put forward proposal, it's just fair that we get to our general membership and communicate this decision to them. You know, in the interest of our consumers are suffering as we speak, and we don't want to keep punishing our consumers. So the leadership are going to try as much as possible to convince membership tomorrow, so that tomorrow the strike will be called off.
The meeting also ended with the minister assuring the aggrieved gas operators the ban on licensing of new gas stations will be lifted.
This meeting, the minister has given the directive that all those who have been issued construction permit and who have invested, genuinely invested, and their stations are ready, the NPA should give them the operating permit to enable them operate, awaiting the onset of cylinder recirculation. The minister has assured us that he's going to get back to the implementation committee and ensure that those who needs to be duly compensated are compensated.
Now, are you looking to enlarge your manhood, last longer during sex, or simply to spice up bedroom-related activities? Your local drug peddler has just the right drug for you. From drinks to substances, Non-Falon reports the business of local aphrodisiac is booming in Accra.
What is an aphrodisiac? An aphrodisiac is a food, drink, drug, or any substance that claims to enhance sexual performance among men and women. Our local media is awash with several commercials every day advertising a new aphrodisiac. Today we examine the business side of aphrodisiacs. Where do these aphrodisiacs come from? Who is buying these aphrodisiacs? What do they use them for? Is there really such a huge market for aphrodisiacs locally? We find out together. To find answers to these questions, we took a trip around Accra. We arrived at a popular spot in Asylum Down where we found happy clients. Kwabna Ofori, one of the customers at this joint, told us he prefers aphrodisiacs from Niger because they are more effective.
I buy the piles, one for the piles, the big penis, sexual weakness, malaria and other stuffs. These ones are local. We cherish what we have in Africa here.
We also spoke with Abdullahi, another customer, who told us he mixes aphrodisiacs with food or drink, insisting he needs it for manpower.
For malaria, for stomach, and for give the power for man. It's very important for the man with a long journey. The man you can do like 50 years, 60 years, you're supposed to do the power to, so because of that we eat it and you use it.
Is it expensive?
No, it's not expensive. It's very cheaper. I have 3 wives, so I want need another one to add it.
At Seko, Abdul Razak, a popular aphrodisiac vendor, explained that he inherited his knowledge on the business from his father. For him, it is a very lucrative business.
We cure waist pain, erectile dysfunction, and other illnesses. People love it, so they buy a lot.
A pharmacy attendant at Kanda, Eudora, is however worried about the comparatively high prices of Western aphrodisiacs.
Yes, it works. It works for them because it's expensive. Now there are generics. We have the generics, but the Viagra is expensive. So people have been purchasing the generic.
The market for local aphrodisiacs seems to be crowding out the market for Western aphrodisiacs, mainly because the Western aphrodisiacs have become very expensive. Do you have an experience with aphrodisiacs? Nong Falong, TV3, Accra.
Anyway, but in today's reports, our citizen journalist Ahmed Suleiman reports on a hanging cable which has become a threat to the people living in Sanguli in the northern region. That's for our MTN video report today.
These people have been here for a couple of months now. We are pleading on them to come and maintain this pole for us. See how kept this metal on the pole is. And one of the wiring, if you can see, it has removed from the main metal. This is very dangerous because in this northern region, we are aware of heavy rainfall and then heavy storm. It might cause a huge damage. This is Gamanche reporting from Tatali Sanguli.
Now, to be like Ahmed Suleiman, you can also send your report as an MTN video report on WhatsApp number 055-1433-044, 055-1433-044. We kindly encourage you to send us socially relevant and then national-oriented stories that we can follow up on and bring development. Solis has some tweets on social media on what's trending this evening.
Indeed, I do. And we're particularly looking at tweets from sports journalists in the country regarding the latest Anas expose on the GFA, which has currently exposed the GFA boss. So, Godfred Akoto Boafo says Africa's longest-serving FA boss, Kwesi Nyantakyi of Ghana, in trouble after President of the country ordered his arrest. Charges of defrauding and false pretenses. Our very own Michael Otieje. It is the decisiveness by Nana Addo. It is both impressive and shocking. Sends a loud message. Let's move on. Veronica Kome says the charge against Kwesi Nyantakyi is defrauding by false pretense, and all these started trickling in right after the news broke around 4 p.m. this afternoon. And Emmanuel Mensah says Kwesi Nyantakyi to be investigated by the CID per Nana Akufo-Addo's orders. What will be the outcome? Interesting times ahead at Ghana FA official. And our very own Johnny Hughes says the GFA President Kwesi Nyantakyi arrested on the orders of the President Akufo-Addo. He's currently being held by the Criminal Investigations Department of the Ghana Police Service. Hashtag Anas video. Now, our in-house cartoonist Tilapia basically sums it up this way. Take a closer look. All right, so I'm not one to really be able to understand what he's trying to say, but there's a ladder and heading towards a football with a trophy. The way to the top, GH football, and people are just basically holding what I presume bribes, goats and money and bags of cash. And of course, Anas at the bottom with his camera. So it pretty much sums up what's happening and what's broken today, hasn't it?
The video said that alleged that some referees were taking livestock to take decisions in football matches. So
quite descriptive there, Tilapia. Quite descriptive.
We can't wait to see what's in that video, obviously. But just stay with us here on TV3 as we do some analysis of all of this.
Welcome back to News 360, now to the world of business. And we start off from the banking sector, where the governor of the Bank of Ghana has hinted staff of the central bank whose negligence led to the collapse of UT and capital banks will face sanctions. Dr. Ernest Addison made this known during the media briefing on the 82nd meeting of the Monetary Policy Committee in Accra.
The governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, noted non-performing loans are increasing because legacy loans are migrating into bad debt. Non-performing loans are loans on which the borrower is not making interest payment or repaying any principal.
NPLs edging up partly because of the migration of loans that were previously classified as performing, either as current or OLEM, now moving to become substandard and loss. And these are loans that have existed for a while in both the energy and the non-energy sector.
Ghana had 7.96 billion cedis stressed asset at the end of June 2017. The ratio of non-performing loans (NPLs) to total gross loans experienced an increasing trend between 2007 and 2010 from 6.37% to 18.08%. The NPL ratio declined to 11.27% in 2014 and thereafter increased to 17.70% in 2016 and 21.2% in June 2017. On whether the cost involved in the liquidation of banks could go up beyond the 2 billion cedis assessed so far, Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Ernest Addison, indicated there are other processes that will continue and in time the true cost will emerge.
This is a receivership process which has not yet ended. At the end of that receivership, we expect that the receiver would realize some of these other assets. We expect that the receiver would go after those people who owe those banks. And all of those should help reduce, the final cost of the intervention, in particular relating to those two banks.
On the collapse of UT and Capital Bank, the governor hinted that though investigations are yet to be completed, no one would be spared, including staff of the central bank who were compromised.
You know, Yoko has already invited some of the shareholders and directors to come and explain, some of the activities that took place. And don't be surprised if even internal people, who were involved, I'm talking about POG staff, could also be invited. The accountability process is going on.
Now, still on the Bank of Ghana, the Group CEO of Data Bank Financial Services, Kojo Adai-Mensah, has added his voice to the call for the separation of the banking supervision role from the central bank. Now, speaking to TV3 Business, he said the Bank of Ghana is overburdened with too many responsibilities and needs to have a separate body to oversee banking supervision.
Ghana's financial sector has seen rapid development over the past 2 decades. Currently, the sector has 34 universal banks, 37 savings and loans companies, 23 specialized deposit-taking institutions, 3 finance and leasing companies, 140 rural banks, 269 microfinance companies, 42 money lenders, 2 remittance companies, 2 leasing companies, and 1 mortgage company. The Group CEO of Data Bank, Kojo Adai-Mensah, said the call for the banking supervision role of the central bank to be split is appropriate.
I think that the central bank's core mandate of managing monetary policy and currency in the country should be what they should do. And then maybe we carve out the banking supervision department, give it different powers, give it a bit more resources to deal with tier 1 banks. Also carve out again those who will deal with microfinance and SNLs, because they all have their own little nuances. The way they are regulated, monitored, it's all different, and you need different skill set to do that. But this one-size-fits-all type of regulation, I think the industry has now overtaken it.
A banking consultant, Dr. Richmond Etuaheni, is also of the view that the Bank of Ghana is overwhelmed, adding there is a need to have a new look at banking supervision.
They are overwhelmed. So it looks like they get up and they take an ad hoc measure. Today we're doing this, today we're doing that. Because we don't think through regulation, we need to sit up and think through how do we want to regulate our banking sector.
However, the managing director of Zenith Bank, Henry Oro, disagrees with the call to separate banking supervision from the central bank, saying it is part and parcel of the role of the central bank.
The banking supervision is a fundamental part of the regulator, which is the Bank of Ghana. Making them separate or autonomous, in my opinion, might take away from the regulatory powers of the Bank of Ghana. I think they should be together.
The governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, at the Monetary Policy Committee meeting on 21st May 2018, responded to the call.
To the financial crisis in the UK. But the lessons from the financial crisis made it prudent for them to bring back the supervisory role back to the Bank of England, because they tend to have a broader view of the linkages between the macroeconomy and the financial sector.
The Association of Ghana Industries, AGI, has welcomed the policy rate reduction from 18 to 17% by the Bank of Ghana. The AGI is, however, calling on the central bank to ensure a gradual and significant drop in the interest rate to correspond with the policy rate reduction.
The central bank on Monday, March 21, 2018, reduced the policy rate by 100 basis points after concluding its MPC meetings for the quarter. The governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, said the decision was arrived at following favorable external and domestic economic indicators and efforts to consolidate economic gains. Chief Executive Officer of the Association of Ghana Industries, Seth Chum Akwabua, said the rate cut is a welcome development, as the policy rate is a key determinant of interest rates in the country.
The fact that it hasn't worsened, it has rather improved by coming down from 18 to 17% is a welcome development.
Sefchum Akwabua, however, called on banks to reduce the lending rates to correspond with a cut in the policy rate.
If policy rate is dropping, inflation is dropping, treasury rate is dropping, there's no point in keeping the lending rate up there, because then that becomes an outlier out of the whole range of macroeconomic variables we are looking at. So ultimately we want to see the interest rate dropping. And for businesses, that is a major yardstick for measuring improvements in the environment.
Some industry players TV3 Business spoke with expressed diverse views on the impact of the reduction.
Interest rates must come down, because when you look at it, especially with our raw materials, we really need the rates to come down. We can't wait for it.
The actors who do business through the ports rely on credits, and so if the policy rate is reduced, and it will lead to a reduction in the interest rate of the credits that they take to finance their import and export activities, then it will mean that we are empowering the industry, to be more active, to do more.
And that's all for business news this evening. Alfredo Kanse standing by with some more news updates. Alfred?
Okay, Solis, thank you for business this evening. Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has urged the judiciary and the security agencies to ensure the new criminal case tracking system, which has been introduced as part of the automation of the court, works. The tracking system is expected to create a seamless platform between the judiciary and all security agencies in the country.
The idea for the new criminal tracking system was mooted 6 months ago. This new system is expected to complement the automation process already existing in the court. Spearheaded by the USAID, the tracking system is to help collate data and replace a flawed manual process. It will also create synergy between the judiciary and other security agencies across the country. Transparency and timeous tracking of criminal cases with the system are expected to facilitate the granting of amnesty to prisoners. Currently, available figures indicate that Ghana has more than 1,000 remand cases where dockets cannot be located. Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia warned court officers and security personnel not to sabotage the new tracking system.
As you implement this system, there is going to be pushback from beneficiaries of the status quo. We have to, and this happens everywhere we have tried to improve the system. We are seeing it everywhere as we try to introduce these new processes. And so you will see that this is going to hurt the fortunes of some selfish, corrupt, and unpatriotic actors in the justice delivery chain who would therefore want to do everything to sabotage the process. Be under no illusion that we are working with angels.
Chief Justice Ofaya Kufu was elated the new system will further enhance the adjudication of cases.
We will be able to trace and access information from the time of arrest through to prosecution, conviction, and imprisonment or rehabilitation and release from our computers and phones.
Attorney General Gloria Kufu called for integrity among those who will work with the system.
Because the system is run by persons, people will upload information. If these are not done with the necessary honesty and integrity, I dare say that the outcome may be more disastrous than what we are running now.
U.S. Ambassador to Ghana, Ambassador Robert Jackson, was confident this will reduce corruption.
A strong justice sector contributes to national and regional security. Through the U.S.-Ghana Security Governance Initiative, we have learned that our ability to strengthen maritime, border, and cybersecurity.
Now, the National Identification Authority, the NIA, will start registering and issuing the Ghana card to Ghanaians from Monday, May 28, 2018. Many Ghanaians expressed regret over the seeming delay in the issuance of the cards after more than 3 previous deadlines set by the government to execute it were not met. But in an exclusive interview with TV3, Chief Executive Officer of the authority, Professor Kenatefwa, gave the assurance that the process will begin on the set date.
As to when to expect this process, which was clearly not in tandem with the processes that you were going through. So you would admit that the deadlines which were being given for this process to begin was not realistic because of the processes you had to go through to get ready to roll out an efficient system, you see?
Yes, realism is always a measure of what needs to be done and what is wished to be done. For me, sitting at NIA as Chief Executive, what needed to be done, there's never been a single day of picnicking, not a day of snoozing, not a day of, oh, I'm tired. Every single day, every minute of our waking life has been hard work on behalf of Mother Ghana to get us institutionally, holistically ready. And I'm saying simply that we are ready. And we are ready to begin on Monday the 28th. We are ready to begin with Greater Accra, stay here for about 3 to 4 months.
The full interview will be played tomorrow morning on New Day. So stay with us here on TV3 and then tune in tomorrow morning to watch that. But the Catholic University College, Ghana, has established a 1.2 million cedi endowment fund to expand the facility and acquire a presidential charter. The Vice Chancellor of the University College, Professor Daniel Kwabena Obeng-Ofori, made this known at the fundraising ceremony here in Accra.
The Catholic University College, established by the Catholic Church, was accredited in December 2002. It was, however, formally inaugurated in November the following year. The university, since its inception, is without an endowment fund, a situation the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Daniel Kwabena Obeng-Ofori, describes as troubling.
It is against norms and convention by various national councils for tertiary education to run a tertiary education solely with student tuition fees. It doesn't happen anywhere in the world.
We'll bring you the full story in our subsequent bulletins. But let's take a quick breather. I'll be right back with some more news action.
Welcome back. Let's get into the world of entertainment this evening. Budding filmmaker Dela Fin's latest project, Abused, sheds light on violence against women and how victims could deal with it. The short film also advises young ladies not to rush into marriage but assess their partners before making the all-important decision.
Cases of abuse and violence against women keep popping up by the day. Victims are in most cases left traumatized, with many being maimed.
What did I do wrong? Did I commit any crime by falling in love and getting married to you?
Posts about that keep popping up on Facebook, like there is this violence against this woman. Posts keep coming and I'm like, no, this is not right.
Saddened by the high spate of abuse against women, 23-year-old filmmaker Dela Fin set out to discourage the vice.
The victims are suffering, culprits are going scot-free, but nothing is being done. Someone might say, as a young filmmaker, what do I know about love? We knowing something about love all boils down to how Ghanaian parents raise their children. The kids see and learn quickly. If you are beating your wife in front of your kids, they are learning it.
The 8-minute movie tells the story of a pregnant young lady, Joyce, who is constantly maltreated by her man. As the abuse gets out of hand, it results in a miscarriage and the victim maimed. Abused outrightly speaks against abuse of any form, whilst encouraging victims to speak up and seek help.
There is an authority called DOFSU, and then the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection. They should go there, report the cases. It's not right to be in an abusive relationship like that because it can get you mad. People are going through a lot of trauma and they are ending up dying.
But sometimes women
do abuse men?
It's all in the circle of abuse. You don't have to be shy. You have to speak up.
Budding actress Joyce Everest Efia Erakwa played the role of the abused wife.
When you get a script that has a strong message like this and it's your first major role, I think I was honored to play such a role. You need to let people know that it's not right. It's okay to say no. We expose our young ones to things like this and they think it's right.
The young filmmaker looks forward to reaching out to the youth to stand up against any form of abuse.
The next plan is to tour schools and then organize youth forums to educate the students, the church members that this is not right. Before you go into marriages, study the partner very well before you rush into the marriage, because there are so many things that happens in marriage that we the youth, we don't have any idea about it, but we just rush because of the whole glamour side.
Well, it's always important to speak up and speak out against any form of abuse. Let's do some other entertainment stories. And for the first time, Ghana is set to host the 5th annual edition of the 2018 All-African Music Awards, AFRIMA, in Accra.
The All-Africa Music Awards, AFRIMA, is designed to promote the distinct rich African music beyond the borders of Africa. For the first time in its 5-year history, Ghana has been bestowed with the hosting right of AFRIMA.
For us, Ghana is an apt place, is an appropriate place to come and have this calendar of healing. You understand? And Ghana itself as a country has shown interest to want to host the AFRIMA in November.
The award, scheduled for November 2018, is tipped to boost local tourism.
I think it's going to boost a lot of artists' confidence for them to understand and know that the whole world is looking at them as well and recognizing Ghana as one of the homes that is breathing and breathing good music. So it's going to encourage us a lot. And also tourism is so important. You know, people don't know what Ghana holds and what Ghana entails when it comes to tourism. So this is an opportunity for the whole of Africa to come to Ghana and see what we have.
Efia looks forward to securing a few collaboration opportunities at the event.
Putting everybody from Africa in one place, can only mean one thing but greatness. It can help us with a lot of collaborations. You know, when you meet different people from different countries, the different music comes together, and I think that's how we're going to put our music into other countries, because if you collaborate with somebody from Cameroon, you get to go there and perform there with the person, and I think that's how we're going to enter different parts of the African continent with our music.
Celebrated Nigerian singer Two-Face Idibia wants African musicians to support and help grow the AFRIMA brand.
We want Africans to embrace what is ours, you understand what I'm saying? So it would be nice for every African to embrace AFRIMA, because that is our own award.
It's amazing. That feeling of unity is priceless, and I'm very happy that it's happening. It's something that should have happened a long time ago. I'm glad it's happening now, because now is very important for African music as a whole.
Well, I want to say thank you very much for staying with us here on News 360. On behalf of the rest of the team, we are grateful. My name is Alfred Okansi.
And I am Solis Rose Corte. Enjoy the rest of the evening.